What's up, y'all? Welcome. Let me see. Sometimes I can't see the clock, you know? Yeah. I got dry skin, man. Heck yeah. It is what it is. Yep. I already told y'all in the other video that if y'all see me wearing the same clothes, that's right. You guessed it. I'll be dropping videos back to back on y'all. Get you some. For real, I'm dropping videos back to back on y'all. Get you some. Anywho's, man, I had just dropped a video, a very emotional video for me, right? Talking about how I'm not ashamed of the gospel, and I'm not. And I was letting folks know that there's gonna be some preaching on this channel. And I told you, I got topics, I got things to talk about. And I also told y'all that if y'all don't want to hear Bible talk, if y'all don't want to hear that God speech, I also told y'all that I'll let you know when to exit. This is that time. This is where you, for those who don't want to hear the preaching, this is your time to make your exit. For those who want to hear the preaching, you are the invited. Welcome. Now, what I want to talk about right now is I say a lot. I'm tired. I do that when I'm tired. You know, I'm not tired enough to go to sleep, but I'm tired enough to for my thoughts to be scrambling for me. I'm tired. I always complain about being tired. Man, let's get into this video for real. I'm wasting time. So I want to talk about keeping it real with God. Because I can't say a lot of people, but there is some people that think that God is an unapproachable being or an unapproachable existence, you know? People think that they can't talk to God or that they can't relate or even learn about God. And I got to point out the most obvious thing is that, look, y'all got to stop talking to God as if he's one of us. He's not one of us. We are the ones limited. What we got here, 60, 80 years on average. Some folks do 90 and 100. Other folks be capping out at 40. The point is God isn't ruled by death. That's the point. And God isn't ruled by space and time. Nothing is too hard for him. So we got to stop trying to put God in a box because our minds are limited. Okay? God is approachable. He is real. You can talk to him. But he doesn't do things the way you want him to do it. That's our problem. That's our problem. That's our position. Yeah, it's his will, not ours. You know, you serve yourself the best you can in this life. But we're not going to force God. You're not about to strong arm God into doing nothing for you, okay? But you can speak to him freely. You are free to be you around God. You are free to be honest with God. All right. And what I want to give out, if I can remember properly, I want to give out a couple. I want to give out a couple stories about how people talk to God, and don't focus too much on the fact that these people were holy men, prophets, chosen people. Focus on the part where they could talk about God, about real life, what they're going through. Because it says, look, lay your heart before him. Throw everything to him because he cares. Approach the throne with boldness, okay? Now, the first one was Abraham. Because from what I can tell, or from what is believed, Abraham and Lot were definitely related, but they might have been uncle and nephew. Abraham's the uncle, Lot is the nephew. And this is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So what happened was, if I can remember, is that Abraham and Lot, they had gotten into a little disagreement over a little inheritance or whatever else. And then one of them was like, I think Abraham was like, look here, I don't want to get into it with you like that. So how about I take this share and these people and we go that way. You take that share and these people and you go that way. So then they split ways. Lot ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah. And then the sins and the things that were happening in Sodom and Gomorrah came up before God. And then God was about to destroy it. And then Abraham somehow caught wind of it. No. God said, look, I'm about to do this deed, but because how much God loves and favors Abraham, he's the originator of the covenant. So he said, should I do this behind Abraham's back or should I let him know? Because Lot is over there. And then he said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and let my servant know. So then God told Abraham what he was about to do. And Abraham was like, you can't do that. That don't sound like you. How could a judge of all the earth destroy all the righteous with the wicked? And then God said, look here. Show me 50 righteous and I won't. Couldn't do it. Show me 45. couldn't do it. Show me 40, couldn't do it. Show me 30, show me 20, show me 10, show me something. And then Abraham was finally like, look, this is just not like you. So that's in the story about how you can actually talk to God. He says, come and reason with me. He says, if you got an issue with me, come and reason with me. Speak to God. Abraham was able to even talk to God about God's judgment, and he actually considered it. And then he decided, we know the story, to get Lot and his wife out of there. And then as they was leaving, Lot's wife looked back, and that was the end for her. All right, another story was when Moses was called. Yeah, when Moses, the prophet. And just so y'all know, it says that Moses was more than a prophet, because there was only one prophet. Well, at that time, there was only one prophet that God spoke to face to face. Yeah, so that's why Moses was more than a prophet. But the second person that he spoke to face, his son Jesus. All right. But when he had first called Moses, he started reasoning with Moses. He called him, and he started to tell him, he like, okay, the cries and the pain and the suffering of my people have come up before my face. So I'm about to make a move to get Israel out of Egypt. And he said, you're going to be the one I'm going to use to do it. And then he said, but I don't have enough strength or enough power. And he said, okay, cool. Take your rod, your little staff right there, throw it on the ground. And you threw it on the ground and it turned into a serpent. He said, now pick it back up. And you picked it back up and it turned back into a rod. And he said, all right, take your hand and put it on your chest. And he took his hand and he put it into his chest, and it came out white with leprosy. Leprosy is basically a skin cancer, you know what I'm saying? And he said, okay, put it back into your chest. And he put it back to his chest, and it was good again. So he's telling him, like, look, I got the power. You don't worry about that. I got the power. So while God was trying to convince Moses, they was having a real life conversation. But you got to understand, these people were prophets and they were holy, but they was also talking to God about real life. That's the point of all of this. And he said, but okay, you got the power and we can do this. But what about when they ask me who I am and where I'm coming from? Just tell them that I said that I am that I am. So Moses is basically laying out all his insecurities about why he couldn't do what God wanted him to do. And God was just really talking with him. And he still does that. That's the point. And then Moses came on another excuse. He like, but I'm slow in speech. I stutter a lot. He like, all right, go get your brother Aaron, and then he be the one that I speak to. And that's how you got the prophet and the priest relation, okay? That's how you got the prophet and the priest relation. Prophet, pastor relation, whatever. And then, but Moses was talking to God about real life stuff that was going on with him. Okay, that was going on with him. And we're still allowed to do that. Another story. I'm just trying to remember the best I can. I looked these up and I read over them before I shot this video, but still, I just never been a person that was, I'm not saying I'm not detail orientated. I'm not saying I don't pay attention. But when it comes to events, times, and names and stuff like that, I'm no good. But anywho, so what happened next was Gideon. That's how you get the Gideonites, and that's how you get those little small Bibles, those green ones. Yeah, that's that Gideon. Okay? Now, what happened is that Gideon, no, not Gideon, but the people of Israel. See what happens when Israel act up, the children of Israel act up, God sends them to another nation so they can learn to act right. So then God had sent them to another nation, and he like, all right, it's time for y'all to come back out. So he had sent this angel over there to talk to Gideon, and God started talking to him through the angel and everything else, like you normally do. And then it's pretty much the same story with Abraham and Moses and everybody else. Walk up, God's telling them, okay, I need to bust a move with my people, and I'm choosing you to lead the way. It's sort of same old, right? And then Gideon started talking to God. He was like, really? Well, if you're going to look after us and you're going to take care of us, then why come we slaves over here? Why come our family suffering? Why come we broke? Why come we hungry? And then he was like, and then I forgot what God said, but the point is he was able to talk to God freely. You say he like, people like, why would you talk to God like that? Because God is your father. That's why. That's why you talk to God freely, because he's your daddy. Oops. Hey, but he is though. He is though. Okay, yeah, God is a father. You speak to God the same way, son to father, daughter to father. You know what I'm saying? If you are of the Lord, God is your father. Speak to God freely. All right. And then here's his story. He says, God has said, like, I am who I say I am. He says it sometime in the Old Testament. I can't remember which book, but he says, I am who I say I am. If you doubt me, come see me. Come test me. Try me. I am who I say I am. I will do what I say I do. He said, if you don't believe me, try me. And this is the story. The same Gideon. Gideon said, okay, all right, since you are who you are, but I got to make sure this time. I believe you, but I got to really, really, really make sure, right? So he said, I'm gonna lay this little fleece out, this little coat or whatever else. I'm gonna lay this out. All right. Now, when I wake up in the morning, if if the what do you say? If the fleece is wet and the ground around it is dry, then I believe you. So he woke up the next morning, boom, it was done. God said, try him, and he proved it. You know what I'm saying? He said, try me. Gideon tried him, he proved. But then Gideon was like, you know what? I still don't know about this. Hold on, time out. Brother been thirsty as dirt. I've been drinking them energy drinks. All that sugar's been putting a hurt on me, man. And it's been colder too. Since it's been colder, I haven't been drinking as much water, and I've been drinking that lemon water. That lemon water gets you right, but it's also dehydrating too. I haven't been drinking my tea. So brother thirsty as a mug. Anywho's, back to the story. So the second day, he said, all right, I believe you, but I'm still not that sure. So then he said, all right, this time, make sure the fleece is dry and the ground around it is wet. Woke up the next morning, boom. Yep. See, that's just another story. I'm just giving y'all stories about how you can speak to God freely. Okay? So another one was Elijah. Elijah. So what happened was there's a war between Jezebel. Yes, that Jezebel. The witch, the whore, the slut, the fake prophetess, that Jezebel. And she was killing off the Lord's prophets. She had killed a bunch of his prophets, and there was only like 100 left, I think. And then there was a righteous man named Obadiah. He has his own book at the latter end of the Old Testament, and he took the prophets and he hid them in caves. Or was it? Did he either hit 100 or he hit 50? But he split it down the middle. He either hit 25 in one cave and 25 in the other cave, or he hit 50 in one cave and hit 50 in the other cave. So he saved. And that counted toward him. Yeah. He was a righteous man. God appreciated him. But so Elijah was also fighting against Jezebel on a different front. You know, so it had came down to when Elijah had found some of the fake prophets, because Elijah was a real prophet. He had found some of the fake prophets, and he had went to war against them and killed them. And then word had got back to Jezebel, and then Jezebel had heard about how Elijah killed her prophets. Her prophets were fake prophets. And then she ain't like that. Not even a little bit, did she? She ain't like that at all. She said, okay, put out word. If I don't make you like one of those prophets by tomorrow, and then she said something, and then Elijah heard that. He got shook. He was real scared. He ran and hid under a tree. And then God had came to him like, what you doing over here hiding under a tree? I already told you what you got to do. You got work to do. And then he was like, but all the other prophets are dead. Jezebel, she too strong for me, and she's coming for my life. I'm the only one left. I don't know what to do. And then so what happened was Elijah ended up going to sleep, and then God had ended up feeding him a cake and feeding some stuff, basically taking care of him, trying to make sure that he get his spirit and his mind right, and also his strength up, because he had to go back to war against Jezebel and everything else. And then after he had left the tree, he had ran to a cave, and then God was talking to him. And every time he ran, God would come to him like, what are you doing here? And he was talking to him about real life. He was basically scared because he was just by himself. I'm not sure if he was aware that how many other people were still standing, because God knows everything. He like, don't worry, because I still got people. Whenever the people of Israel was going through something, he like, nah, I know I still got people reserved unto me. And that's where you get the term the remnant. All right. Now, then another example is how you could talk straightly to God is when the Lord Jesus Christ, right? He came down here and before his time. You know what I'm saying? When they was waiting in the garden for Judas to betray him and everybody else asleep, and he asked the disciples, like, look, just watch me 1 hour, because this is my last one, you know? So watch me 1 hour. And then they had fell asleep, and he said, and that's where he said, look here. Yeah, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. But The Lord knew his purpose from since ever, because he came from up there to come down here, and he knew exactly what he had to do. But then that last hour, everything got so heavy for him. And that's where people like, I think that's where people get theological and say, like, I think that's the point where all the sin, he really started to feel all the sin of the world on him. He really started to feel like death is coming. So he went back, and he knew his purpose, but he went back. He like, God, Father, please, I'll do whatever you have me do, even this. But if you can, let this cup pass from me. Meaning, if I can, I'd rather not. But he was like, but if this is your will, and if this what needs to be done in order to save the world, I'll still do it. And that's just another example about how you could talk to God about real life. And then y'all know about Paul, right? Now, before Paul was Paul, he was Saul. So he just changed one letter in his name. So anywho, Saul was actually an officer. He was like, picture like gang task force. You know, those certain cops and detectives that just do gang work. He was like that, except for his job was to hunt down Christians and kill them. So he was on one of his missions with his crew, because he was high ranked too. Paul was high ranked. Saul was high ranked, and he was on his mission to do what he's going to do. And then God, the Lord had met him in a way. And then he was with his people in his company, and they all heard a voice said, "Why you persecuting me?" And they all looked around like, "What? Am I tripping? You tripping? Who tripping? Somebody tripping?" Like, nah. And he was like, and then Saul was like, "Who's that?" He was like, "It's the Jesus. It's Jesus. That Jesus that you're persecuting. It's your Lord. Why are you persecuting me? Why are you killing my people? You kill my people, you basically hurting me." And then he like, "I didn't know it was you." In a little conversation, but the point is, God made him blind. God made him blind. So then after that, he realized that he was on the wrong path, and that's when Saul repented, and that's how we got one of the most historical biblical figures that, you know what I'm saying? So anywho, then it came down to a man named, I think his name is Ananias. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. His name was Ananias. So God had spoke to Ananias and had told him, like, listen, I need you to go down here, not too far from where you're at, and go over here to Saul. And I need you to lay hands on him so he could receive his sight again, because Saul is a chosen vessel to me. And then Ananias like, not that Saul. Because that's the same Saul that was killing. I'm kind of, right now, I'm kind of on the run from Saul right now. You want me to go over there and, and lay hands on him? And then he like, nah, I don't know about that one, Lord. You know, he killing folks. He's looking for people like me. You want me to go straight to him? And then God was like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's chosen, and I've taken care of everything. All you have to do is go over there and lay hands on him. And that's another story about how you could talk to God. So I think that's all the examples I got. Right. But the point is that you can speak to God freely. He's not unknowable. You know what I'm saying? Ask God. Lay yourself before God. It's an act of submission, an act of repentance. Lay yourself before God. You know, get baptized. Get baptized and receive his spirit. Ask for his spirit and ask for his. Put yourself before God and ask for his will. Ask for his spirit and you receive it. All right. Get yourself baptized too. Okay. What else? Other than that, read the Bible. Believe the scriptures. Believe them. Believe in the power. You have to have faith. For real. For real. Even though they say faith without works is dead, faith without works is dead, but it's impossible to please God without faith. For real. Because it's what we live by. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So for real, so pray, receive his spirit, get baptized. Then from then on out, start reading the Bible. Get a hold to other people, ask questions, and speak to God freely. Speak to God, son to father, daughter to father. I'm maxed out on my time limit, y'all. But outro.